Yeah, so welcome back. Good evening. Hope everybody can see my screen, right? All right. So we are learning Azure AZ104 module, again in which we started identity last week, and we spent around 2 hours on this, and where I walked through what is identity, and I walked through how it looks like, how to build it. Some of the basic concepts I've already covered, and in addition to that, we also learned about what is AD and what is the relationship between subscriptions. I'll once again go through it, need not worry about it. But ultimately, I want you to have proper grip on what is Active Directory and what is subscriptions. Why are they related to each other, and what is the significance between each of them, right? So once you know this, then we have an idea about what is the tenant. So we learned about tenants, and also we compared Windows Active Directory with Azure Active Directory, and they both offer a same authentication and authorization. And Active Directory, Azure Active Directory supports, means it works on OpenID Connect and OAuth 2 protocols for authentication and authorization. And here it uses Kerberos and NTLM as its backward compatibility, but ultimately both offer a same thing, authentication and authorization. It's again on-premise identity. This is cloud-based identity we talked about. And if you are planning to have software as a services, then definitely you need this one, right? And most of the companies are going with this one. This is the default approach when you sign up as a company. And this is where we stopped here. Like last time I was talking about all the terminology, but again, let me recap it. Identity. So identity means anything which can be authenticated. Means a user account can be authenticated, a group account can be authenticated. Means while accessing resources, usually we use user principal names. So anything username @ domain name is nothing but user principal name. And again, also at the same time, service accounts also we can use it, and even they can be used as authentication mechanism. And security accounts, all users and groups, they're called security accounts. Ultimately, UPNs and SPNs, we call it as identities. And anything which is having an account in AD is an account. Means the moment you create an account in AD, it will have identity. Means using this identity, it will have username and password. Using those two things, it will allow a person or a service to get into the environment. Similarly, if you create an account in AD, Azure AD, it is called Azure AD account. If it is created in Windows AD, it is called Windows AD account. It is clearly mentioned. Wherever you see an account prefix with Azure AD, means it is coming from Azure AD. Same way, Azure AD tenant, I told you, right, a person or a company which signs up Azure becomes a tenant. So this is again user ID, this is tenant ID. Tenant means a person or a company who signs up Azure, and every tenant is unique in Azure. This is how Microsoft identifies each tenant. And anybody signs up Azure will get a directory, and that becomes Azure Active Directory. So that is where an organization is formed, and that is where this is called a tenant. So tenant is a company where it will have a unique identity. Microsoft differentiates using tenant IDs with each and every customer. And every tenant is again associated with a subscription. So subscription, I told you, right, it is like a plan, it is like a security boundary, right? And it is like a billing entity, so where your every billing will happen. Right. So if you see, if you see this one, like I showed you somewhere, right? Yeah, here. So here, what you'll do, you will sign up. The moment you sign up as an organization, you will be associating with one of the subscriptions. Means you will sign up multiple subscription or single subscription, whatever it is. But ultimately, you need a space where you can create resources, where you'll have the resources. So this is again a resource group, a dotted box, and these are all resources, and all will go into one subscription, and subscription is associated to the account, and billing will happen on the subscription end. Every subscription will have a different billing. If you have 3 subscriptions, you will have 3 bills associated with your account. So likewise, we can differentiate which subscription has how much bill. So that is the reason we separate our entire subscriptions, to separate our environment, separate our customers, separate our billing, right? That way you can have up to 800 subscriptions. I was telling you, right? An account can have 800 subscriptions. So likewise, this was the recap. This was the topics we were learning last week, right? And also I compared Azure AD with Windows AD with Azure, right? So Windows AD operates on RDP kind of protocol, and Azure AD operates on HTTPS. And Azure AD is accessible over APIs, means it uses REST APIs to allow us to communicate with on HTTPS based protocols. And on-premises depends on LDAP, means just Windows Active Directory depends on LDAP to enable communication between an object and object, means a user account talks to a computer account using LDAP, whereas in Azure it depends on APIs, REST APIs over HTTPS protocols. And here in Azure AD it uses OpenID Connect for authentication and OAuth 2 for authorization, and Windows AD uses Kerberos. So this is the difference here. And also it supports SAML, right? SAML means it's like a single sign-on concept. I'll talk about that in a moment. And same way, it also offers us federation. Means if you want to come up with B2C solutions, you can use this one. You can go with this approach. I will also talk about B2B and B2C solutions, right? And also Azure AD doesn't have any structure. It will have flat structure. Means like Windows AD, you will have forest, trees, organization units, and the domains, right? Those concepts are not there in Azure AD. So that is the difference here, and that becomes a handicap in Azure AD. And that is where what people do is, they will actually adopt, let me take a new page here. Right. So this is where what they will do. I'm using stencils here. So these stencils also I will share it with you. You can use them. Right. For example, we are talking about identity, right? So we can use Active Directory. Right. So this is what we have in place. We'll make it 0.1 or 1.0, right? So this is your identity, right? For example, this is your identity. I'm just keeping it in the cloud actually. So I'll say icon, and I'll just add a cloud there. So I'll just use this guy. So this is your cloud, and inside the cloud you'll have all the identity. So I'll just send it back here. Right. So you'll have identity like this. Inside the cloud you'll have identity. This is again Azure AD, right? So I'll just call it as Azure AD here, and instead of calling it as Azure AD, I'll just call it as AAD, Azure AD, short form, right? So likewise, you will be having Azure AD here on the one hand, and at the same time you will have a subscription here, and then you will create user accounts and group accounts in Azure AD, and then those users and groups can access the resources inside the subscription. That is what the cloud model looks like. And same way, if you see the normal data centers, right? If you want to add a data center here, right? So that will be on premises, and where we'll have all the Windows AD, Okay, I will use something. Yeah, so I'll just use this guy. Right. So this is your on-premises, and where you'll be building all your. This is your data center actually. I'll just say send it back. Right. So this is your on premises, or wherever you want to place it, you can place it like this. And then I'll say don't color it, no color. Right? This is your on premises where you'll have Windows AD. I'll just place Windows AD icon also there, right? I'll just go back here. So symbols. This is again enterprise. Not sure I have it here. Domain controller, yeah, got it. Right. So here I'll place my domain controllers here. Right. So this is how I will make use of my two domain controllers here. Right. And then what happens? This will communicate with Azure AD. Right. And now what I'll do, I'll just add a line here. Right. So I'll just mark it like this. Right. Yeah. So what happens? This DCs will actually talk to Azure AD, and then what happens? For example, assume you have for example, if you have say, so these are the domain controllers actually, right? On premise domain, right? Domain controllers. So where you have users equals to, for example, say some 10,000, right? And groups equals to, say, for example, 500, right? So likewise, you have established your company in 2012, and now you are in 2021, and you want to adopt cloud, right? What in that case? So that is when we will actually adopt AD Connect. So that will become a hybrid solution now. Means I have a company already which is existing since many years, and in 2021 I have adopted cloud by subscribing to Azure AD and again Azure and getting a subscription for it. And now what happens? I want to integrate both of them. The moment I integrate both of them, this becomes a hybrid solution. And now what happens is, so I'll just add something here, a text box. I don't think I have something called symbol for that. I'll see. Right. So AD Connect is a tool actually we use for enabling it as a hybrid model. Right. So here I will call it as right. So now it becomes hybrid identity. Means whatever user accounts you have here will get replicated here, and as a result, what happens? Those same users, for example, the same users can actually, these users are actually coming from here basically, but they can log into here, and they can also log into here, right? So they can also connect here also. Means users are actually residing here, and once you have established AD connectivity, they can either log into your domain on premises to get authenticated, and they can also log into Azure because these are replicated here. The same on premises users are seen here. As a result, what happens? You'll have them here, and same users can log into cloud also, right? So this way it becomes a hybrid identity model. And now what people are doing, they're actually making this one more in here, right? They're actually bringing one more domain controller here. They're making it as a VM actually. They'll make this as a VM instead of a physical server. Simply they will configure a VM, and on which they will install domain controller. Nothing but they will replicate it. So ultimately, what they will do is they will bring an identity. Compute will take it, right? Where we can virtual machine, right? So here what they will do, they will deploy this domain controller role on that VM, right? So I'll just make it as 1.0, right? And now what they will do, instead of this, we'll copy this one so that it becomes a domain controller now, right? So here I'll make it as 0.25, right? So now what happens, this will become a domain controller, and yeah, so whatever it is, this will become domain controller. And now what happens, whatever you replicate here means you make this as a same thing actually. So this one will be the same thing like this, but here it will be a domain controller VM, same thing. I'll bring it here, and now what happens, instead of AD contacting here, it will simply contact here itself, right? I mean, people are using that model also. So instead of enabling it to go and get synced from here, it will also get synced from here. So likewise, we can configure the way we want it. Ultimately, I want a hybrid identity. So likewise, I can make use of my identity here as well, right? So this way I'm also syncing this actually. So like for example, this domain controller will get access to this domain controller and it will sync everything here, and from here it will get synced. Likewise, this purely becomes a hybrid identity model, right? So any questions here? Right? So you have users actually originating from on-premises. Go ahead.
Okay, you said that you are going to build another VM on the cloud, and then they're going to connect to that one. So what makes, like, because you're taking one extra VM, so what makes the benefit for the organization better?
Yeah. So this one, if you place it here, what happens is, if on-premises is down, assume, if entire region, I mean your data center is gone down, your users will not get disturbed. Means in terms of authentication, they won't get disturbed, right? If this entire DC data center, if this entire data center is gone down, you are still domain controller available here, right? That way what happens, these users who were getting authenticated with this now will get authenticated with this and access all the Azure resources. So here you'll have Azure resources. This way there won't be showstopper now. So most of the companies follow this approach as of now. They will have on-premises domain controllers, and they have cloud-based domain controller, and they have Azure AD. Right? And also, yeah, I mean, this is the most best followed approach actually. Most of the organizations follow this.
So it is kind of a backup, or okay.
Yeah, naturally, it is a kind of. So we call it as primary domain controller, backup domain controller. Again, this is also a backup domain controller, but instead we call it as additional domain controller.
Okay. And what is the frequency at which, suppose I have created a new user, so do I need to create in both ways, like both in the, if I'm creating one in physical, so will it automatically go and sync with Azure directly?
It gets synced automatically here. It gets synced automatically here, and also it will also get synced automatically to Azure AD. Means whatever changes you make here, it will be immediate changes.
If in case I created in Azure directory, is it both ways? Will it automatically sync?
No, that's why I draw only unidirectional, right? There is no back.
One way.
There is no backward here. Means whatever you create here, they will become only cloud users. That's it. So these are all on-premises users, and whatever you create here will be cloud users, and it will not replicate there. Those users will still remain here. Means users will actually unidirectional. Means they will get replicated only from on-premises to Azure.
Okay.
No reverse.
And okay. So in case if suppose my users are there, and is there any way we can take other way also? Okay. In this case, it will not happen. But is there any way?
Because see, you are the company owner, assume, and you know where will they access. Means what will they access? If you want them to enable access cloud resources and the local resources, right? Then what happens? You will create a user account here itself because it's getting replicated to Azure AD. And if you think that these are only like cloud users, like Office 365, CRM Dynamics, SharePoint Online, such things only they will access only from the cloud, then you will create a user account here. So that way you will separate the user management. Means same team will be managing it. Same team will actually work. Means same Azure AD team only will manage Azure AD and Windows AD, both.
Yeah, like you told, a lot of advantages in terms of creating easiness in terms of creating users in the Azure Active Directory. So if I use that approach, is there any way where I can sync up with the local domain controllers?
Means you want users here, and if you want to create users here and you want to see them here.
Yeah, one-time sync up, like kind of. I know you said that it will not be.
Microsoft doesn't provide that solution. Microsoft is providing solution only this way. Means you have to, if you want to see them in both the places, create users here. It is not encouraging you to create it here because this is a new approach, right? And that is the reason it is expecting us to create user accounts here, and so that it will come here. And it, see, for example, if you want a redirection approach, means bidirectional approach, that will again lead to a lot of confusion. Means where is the latest update? You have created a user account here, it comes here followed by some interval, right? And if you create a user account here, and again those two objects may clash, and again bidirectional approach may again lead to some disturbances. That is the reason what they did, they maintained this approach just to keep the sync engine properly. Just to keep the hybrid identity properly, they follow this approach.
Okay, but whatever the VM the users are there, they are always the local one only, right?
This one?
They have both, yeah, that one.
No, they will not have both. That's what I'm telling you. So here, whatever numbers you have, here also same numbers, but here you will have plus. So you will have cloud users also.
Okay, in the VM there are no cloud users.
No, it won't. Yes, yes. Yeah, so here it will be like this. Right? Yeah. So now what we can do, we can go ahead and implement it, right? So yeah, so right. So this way, yeah. So we can implement this model. Now what happens is, if you want to implement this model, your local machine need to have some domain controller already, right? And for that you need to have some Hyper-V like this, right? For example, in my machine I have some role called Hyper-V, local machine, my local machine, right? If you have it, yeah, you can follow that. If you don't have it, then we will follow this approach and we will assume same thing, right? So likewise, you need to check whether this Hyper-V is capable, Hyper-V capability is available in your local machine or not. You can check it out. If it is available, then what we can do, we can deploy a VM in your local machine, and that VM we will configure it as a domain controller, and that becomes your local DC. And then we can connect that DC with Azure AD, and then we can implement hybrid identity. This is one approach. So for example, if I want to go with this one, right? There are different methods actually. So let me share another PPT here. What I have, different approaches. Ultimately, different approaches. Right. So if you want to implement this method, usually how it goes is, you want this model actually. Means this model in the sense, Azure Hybrid Identity can be brought in by having a DC in on-premises. Means this is your on-premises where you are having AD servers and where you are connecting to your Azure network, and then they will get replicated to Azure AD. So this is again, you can use Azure AD as well as your ADDS servers also. Means you are putting two similar DCs here. Means these and these are same. There is no difference, right? And same way, when this is again DC on Azure. So here DC is on Azure, and the third model is only AD. Means you will not have DCs here, you will not have DCs here, and you will just maintain one Azure AD inside cloud. And also you have another model called ADDS, Azure ADDS. So this is the latest model released 2 years back by Microsoft. So they are offering this one as the latest method of managed identity, they call it as. Managed identity we'll talk in a moment, but ultimately one model is this one. Means you will maintain a domain controller in on-premises and you will use AD Connect and connect to Azure AD, and whatever you create here will be available here. Means user accounts and the group accounts and their object IDs, everything, all the properties will get replicated here, and as a result users can log in here and they can log into cloud. So this is again the most widely followed approach. Also this is same thing, DC on Azure, means I will also place one more domain controller on Azure, and that way what happens, both VMs are in sync, and if this fails, automatically this is there to save us, right? In case, in the sense, fail in the sense, the data center may go down anytime, right? In such cases, I am dependent on Azure AD. I mean Windows AD here. Sorry, this one, DC, means the same DC I am replicating it here, and that way what happens, even though this domain controller is not available, but still a domain controller which is running on the cloud will be available. So that way there is no interruption to the authentication. And another model is DC on-premises plus Azure AD DS plus AAD. Means this is your Azure AD and this is your new model, managed identity we call it as, and this is your regular traditional model, Windows servers. Likewise what happens, you will sync it here. You will sync them here and this will sync it here. So this is again a new latest method where you will not have to worry about your transformation. Means going forward you want to get rid of your domain controllers. If you plan that, then you can go with this Azure ADDS approach. So here this will be the final version of the model, means there are no domain controllers here. This will be the final version of your approach, means today you have domain controllers and you connected them here and you replicated everything here, and of late, after some time you want to get rid of your domain controllers, but again there are a lot of things which domain controller offers, right? And those things are again manageable using Azure AD DS. So this one will actually provide a capability of group policies. So that is again the beauty of this one. But this one will not offer you the group policies and no OU concept here. And here you can have such concepts here. Means whatever your domain controllers are offering, same features are offered by managed identity also. So this way you are using both cloud-based identities where you will not have to waste your money on domain controllers, but however Microsoft charges very high on this approach. They will charge very high on this role, managed identity, means everything Microsoft will take care of it. But only thing is,
can you repeat this step actually? Sorry.
Yeah. So here what happens is, usually this is our traditional approach. You will have a domain controller here and you will have AD here, and this is a traditional approach. Windows AD and Azure AD get connected and this becomes a hybrid model. And now after some time you are winding up your data center, and if you are winding up your data center, that is the reason you have already put one more domain controller here, so that you will not lose all the settings here like forests, trees, OUs, and the group policies, whatever you have set up here will also be there in this domain controller, and you will not lose them, and this will give you a domain here in cloud itself, right? This is the regular approach. Yeah, and still if you don't want to use that after some time, then what happens is, means this is the approach, means you have a domain controller on premises, you are using AD Connect to connect your Azure AD, right? And again whatever identities are replicated here will also be replicated here, and slowly you can wind up your data center. So that is the goal here. So when you are winding up data center, you are relying on Microsoft managed identity, means Microsoft actually uses VMs, but it will not give access to the VMs. It will just give you access only to the roles running on those VMs, and it is called as Azure AD. Like your, Azure AD, like you can access ADDS also, right? This is little high, advanced level, and most of the companies are switching to this model nowadays. Just say 20% of the people are, companies are switching to this model, but otherwise on-premises Azure AD. That's it. Most of the companies follow this approach.
Okay. If in case we are starting a completely new company, which is not there here, as I said, 2005 or some time back, so we'll go for this approach.
Yeah, we'll simply go for this approach over. You'll just go for Azure AD. Yeah, Azure AD and over. But what happens, like if you see the domain controller, didn't load this one. I don't know why. Okay. If you see, for example, let me load this up here. Right. So actually, Windows AD, what will it offer us? Basically, Windows AD offers us forests, trees, and OUs and domains. And if you see Azure AD, it will not offer us any of those things, right? Means domain it may give you, but it will not give you these things plus group policies. Nothing is available here. So that is the reason what they do. They will bring one box here, Windows AD, so that they will get everything whatever they want here. Means they will get exactly whatever they were getting on premises. It is also available with the help of this one. Means same thing. So whatever you are getting it here, you'll also get it here. So that way what happens, you are building one small domain here along with your Windows AD, and you will have the forest, you will have trees, you will have OUs, you will have domains, and you will have group policies. Everything will be available here. So that is the reason we want it here, right? And slowly you can get rid of this one after some time. If you just want to use cloud-based resources, slowly you can get back, decommission this on-premises Windows AD, and you will have everything in cloud, and then you will have the flexibility of using all these things, forest, trees, OUs, domains, and the group policies. Or, as I was just mentioning, you can use Windows AD. Not Windows AD, Azure ADDS. So this is again a managed identity. This will give you ability of group policies, and there you can use this inside the cloud as a managed identity like your Azure AD. You don't need to go for this approach then. But again, it is still expensive, and also it will not give you freedom of all like flexibility like what I call forest, trees. Those things will not be available. Only the group policies and the OU structure can be maintained. But ultimately, as I told you, like 20% of the people, industry is using this model. Otherwise, you have this model only, right?
So as an architect, suppose if a company is just starting, so which one should I prefer? Because you are saying the cost wise it is more costly if I use ADDS.
If it is a new organization and you say there is nothing. If it is a new organization, means there is nothing, right? Means there is no data center, there is no domain controller, nothing, right? Then definitely we will think about Azure AD.
But we are not getting groups and policies, right?
Yeah, if you want them, definitely what they will do, they will build a VM here, and they will make it as a domain controller, and they will have AD here, and they will get everything: forest, trees, again OUs, and again domains and the group policies. Everything will be offered by this, and this is the most widely followed approach. But no matter if you don't have anything here, but still you will build a domain controller here, where it will give you good flexibility on managing these things.
So is it the same time for ADDS and this one to build, VM to build in the cloud?
So Azure AD, this is, let us call it as managed identity, right? Yeah. So Azure ADDS, right? Yeah. So this is a PaaS model actually. PaaS in the sense it's not PaaS actually, IaaS, IDaaS, Identity as a Service. So this model is actually works as an identity as a service, like PaaS and like IaaS and SaaS, right? So you have you have this model also, IDaaS, identity as a service. If you want that, then definitely you will have to adopt this one, and that's a bit high level. We need not worry about that thing at this moment, right? So where again a lot of architects will have to involve in this design, and it is not going to happen in overnight, and this can be built overnight, right? Azure AD can be built overnight, but this is not like that. So we need to plan ahead to follow what premium you want to purchase, what pricing model you want to purchase. You'll have to think about the domain also, domain structure in your company. What is your domain? Are there routable domains? Are there local domains? There are a lot of considerations you need to think about, and that again we have to learn separately, right? We have to learn if you want to get into Azure AD. I mean, you want to become a directory specialist, then you need to think about this one also. But ultimately, identity as a service is offered by this, right? So yeah. So now let's implement this model. For example, if I want to implement, as I was showing you, right? This is again on-premises hypervisor where you will build your domain controller, right? This approach, again, I told you, right? Not everybody will have this facility in their local machine. Instead, what we will do, we will build this VM in the Azure itself, and we will treat that as a domain controller, and then we will link it, right? So here, when I say that, what do I mean by that is this one, right? So instead of having Windows ADs on premises, I'll build the Windows ADs in cloud, right? So I'll build 2 Windows AD machines, and I will connect them with the Azure AD. Right? I'll connect them with Azure AD here. And this way what happens, I will implement AD Connect here to enable them to talk to each other, right? This is again going to be AD Connect, so that whatever you create here will be replicated here, and like users or groups, whatever you create here, they will get replicated here with the help of AD Connect. So this is what we are going to implement. So if you want to implement it, I've already straight away, I've already given the clear steps here, right? What is required here. So if I go to the labs here, right? And also I've given you hypervisor also. We'll talk about that model because not everybody will have hypervisor, right? Anyways, I'll be sharing the lab. If you want to follow this approach, you can follow very well. But demonstration was I will go with this one. So here what we will do, we will actually build how to set up domain controllers in Azure, on Azure. So where I'll be using something called templates. So using those templates, I'm going to build 2 domain controllers. So here it looks like this. Similar to this, it will look like this, right? So inside the cloud, you will have 2 domain controllers, DC1 and DC2 will be acting like domain controllers. And now what we will do, we will use this as AD Connect, right? So this way what happens, whatever you create here will be replicated here. So this way this becomes a hybrid model. I mean, not exactly hybrid model, but the goal is that usually these 2 come from on-premises. Since we don't have on-premises, we are building it here. That is it, nothing much. And for that, what you have to do is you have to have a subscription and a resource group and a VNet and a subnet you need to have in the cloud. And once you have it, you can use ARM templates. ARM template, again, we'll talk about what is ARM template shortly. But meantime, just treat it as something like template. You just have to go here and click there. That's it. Once you do that, automatically it will build us domain controllers. So this is again, create a new AD domain with 2 domain controllers. If you just click it here, it will take us to our account. Means you need to authenticate. Again, I was telling you, right, before deploying it, you need to have a subscription, you need to have a resource group and a subnet and a VNet and a subnet. So once you have that, you are inside your cloud. This is your cloud now. And once you are inside your cloud, you are going to deploy the feature here. So what are you going to do here? This template creates two VMs and Azure AD DC. One is primary and the backup, and it will create a new forest and a domain. Means whatever name you want to configure, you have to provide the parameters here. So these are the parameters. You have to provide the username, you have to provide the password, domain name, prefix, and what port you want to log in. Right? All these parameters you have to provide in the deployment. So likewise, create a new AD domain with two domain controllers. This is the easiest way to create your spin up your domain controllers in Azure. So here you need to choose the subscription, and here you can go ahead and create one RG here. Right? Click on this one and say RG, right? RGIAM, right? Identity and Access Management. And where do you want it? So my business is running in East US, and that location I need to specify. And what is the password? What is the passwords you want to use for this your domains? Means I'm using LAdmin and password 123 demo@123 I'm using. So here, what is the domain you want to use? Right? So here you can use any domain you want to use. Right? I say wws.com. So my domain will be called as wws.com, and here the prefix would be wws, right? And the first VM will be accessible using 3389 port number, and second VM will be accessible 13389. I'll talk about that in a moment, but these are the items you need to specify. So once you specify these parameters, you can review and click on create, and you're all set. Means it will take around 20 minutes. So while it gets created, we'll talk about other aspects. All right. Click on create. So everything is clearly mentioned here. Nothing to worry here. So only thing is you need to follow the instructions. So here, get ARM template deploy DC. Just click it here, and you will see this window. Click on this one. Right. I've already mentioned it here. And once you do that, what is the second step I mentioned here in the lab? So you need to provide all the parameters. Means in your case, your domain, whatever you want. Don't use my domain, but use your domain. And my domain will not work. So once you provide all the parameters, then you will see validation section, and you need to click on create. Once you create it, it will take around 20 minutes, and then you're all done. Means you will have two domain controllers running on your cloud. And then what you can do, you can deploy this AD Connect on this machine and integrate it. Means that will talk to this AD. Means whatever you create here will come here. Means you will have a forest, domain, trees, and OUs, whatever you want. You'll get that freedom, right? So that is how you can manage. You can spin up the environment. So let us see whether it's going on or not. Right? Deployment is in progress. Right? Any questions so far?
Okay, Narendra, are going to show how to create all these from scratch? I mean, Azure, an account, and all these basic things, or just you are starting from here only?
So right from the scratch, what I'll do, I was about to walk through that, because I didn't tell you like how to sign up an account, right?
Yeah.
I mean that was the intention behind it. So now what happens is, in your case, so what you have to do is you have to follow these instructions here. So I'll be sharing you the instructions here, how to sign up your Azure. Right. So yeah, so how to sign up your account? It is very simple. You need to have a credit card. Once you have a credit card, what you do, you'll sign up. So here are the instructions. Means you have to go to this browser and click on Start Free, and you'll have to provide all the information required from your end, like name, credit card details, address, and personal phone number, PAN ID, and all those things. Whatever. I mean, it's self-explanatory. You have to provide all the inputs to sign up an Azure account, and that will be free account, valid for 30 days. And after that, you can convert it into pay-as-you-go account. We'll talk about those subscriptions, I mean, in upcoming topics. At this moment, I want you to follow these instructions and create the account means you will have to have an account like mine, and in order to get this one, you need to have a credit card, valid credit card, and that will be valid for 1 month. So, and after that you'll have to promote it to pay as you go account or enterprise subscription. Like you need to convert that. So I'll also talk about that when we reach that stage. But timing, you have to sign up your free account, which will be valid for 30 days, right? So once you do this, I have another lab here. So this again I call it as initial setup, right? So this lab actually what it does is it will enable you to set up your local machine, means my local machine, right? This is my local desktop, right? So in this local desktop, you need to, first thing is you need to sign up, right? And then second thing is you need to install PowerShell module on your local machine so that you can interact with PowerShell commands. And these are the instructions. Open your PowerShell as administrator locally and type this set execution policy and confirm Y and copy paste this command here. Or you can follow instructions directly by going to this link. But again, need not. You can just follow these steps here. Open your PowerShell as admin, yes, and run this command, and again yes, and run this command. You will get a PowerShell module, AZ PowerShell module installed on your local machine like this, like mine. So this will be your PowerShell, and it will be cloud-based PowerShell. And again, on topic on this also, we have a dedicated chapter altogether. I'll talk about what is CLI, what is PowerShell, and all those things. But initially, you need to install this. You need to set it up, and then you need to install CLI module. So you just have to go to this link here, and after going to that link, it will be a straightforward approach based on your machine. What machine are you using? Means Windows case, this is the one. Means you need to just click on this. A small applet will get downloaded, and you just have to click on that, and it will get installed. Means you will just after installation, you will, if you go to add remove programs, you will see a CLI showing up in your local machine. Right, it's hidden somewhere here. Yeah, here it is. So this applet will get installed. Just follow the instructions. That's it. Nothing much. Instructions is again. See, it's like next, right? It's very simple actually. The only thing is, if you click it here, it will start download. Right? If you click it here, it will start download, and just click next, and again CLI will get installed. That means you will have PowerShell as well as CLI. Both are set up in your machine. And once you're done with that, then optionally you can go for alias and again additional subscription. This is again later stage. But at this moment, you just have to go with PowerShell. It means setting up your account, and install PowerShell and install CLI. These are the first steps, right? And this I'll be placing it in our lab section, right? I mean our here, right? I'll be sorry, where is ours is yeah, this one, weekend lab, right? So here I'll be placing it under labs. So here you'll be seeing two sets of labs. One I will call it as Wilma labs, and other I call it as Microsoft labs. Two sets of folders will be there, and that is the area you need to every day check out for the labs and execute all the labs. And all related recordings will go here, and all study material will go here, and also all related, I mean, ARM templates and all those things. As we move on, you'll be seeing the fourth folder also. But ultimately, this is the place where every day I'll do it. Every day, as soon as we are done with the session, it will get updated. I will not inform you, but you just have to go and check your items here. But this is the place. All right. So yeah, so this is your initial setup, and yeah. Again, I'm going back to my Azure here, right? It is deployment is still going on. So
okay. In case of multiple documents, do you give a specific name to the file name? Because there are 3 to 4 files so which is first, which is second, something like that.
Correct. So that's a good question actually. So what happens is it will look like this. So, for example, in another batch, and in another batch. For example, AZ104, you have, for example, labs, and in this you have, for example, Wilma labs. And here what happens is you will be having the module wise names. Module A, how to set up domain controller. Everything you'll have to follow these numbers. Today's lab is again maybe this one, domain controller, setting up domain controller in Azure, and again joining a VM to the domain, and again D, right? 1D, 1E. Likewise, you'll have to follow these numbers along with the alphabets.
Okay. So we will correlate with the notes and what you taught on that class, and then we'll try to. Okay.
Correct.
So one last question. Yeah, please.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when you're putting a credit card and it is not going to charge unnecessarily, so in that case, what is your advice and tips on that? So we don't know because we are using credit card and
Correct.
if you do a mistake unnecessarily, yeah, please.
I mean, as I told you, right, if you have already consumed your free account, then there is a chance of billing. But first time, right, when you set up your Azure account for the first time, you will get a subscription for 30 days. 30 days, and it is fully free.
Okay.
Sorry, it is fully free, and it will give you $200 credit, 13,000 rupees worth. It will allow you to create any resources within the subscription, and valid for 30 days. And after 30 days, because our course will be beyond 30 days, right? So then what happens is, after 30 days, you have to make it as pay as you go account. You have to convert that. So once you convert that, what happens? Whatever you consume, only for that you will be billed. And this consumption should be, in our case, for example, you will be using this consumption for implementing labs, right? For implementing labs, it will not cost you much. For example, if I take INR for my bunch of labs, my expenses will not cross 1K per month, no matter whatever number of labs I implement, right? So it will not charge, per month, I won't even get 1,000 rupees. And in your case, it will be hundreds, just maybe 200-300. But the only thing is, this is again post to 30 days, not now. So whatever you create, you need to destroy it. So that way what happens, even 1K will not be there. It will be very less, 200 rupees or 300 rupees, that's it.
Yeah, that's what, because we don't know, so we may do some mistakes. So before that, we need to have kind of caution from your side. So to avoid this mistake.
First thing is, do you have an account or not already?
No, I need to create.
If you have to create it, then don't worry about 30 days.
Okay.
Don't worry about 30 days, because I'll be walking you through about this subscription. When we reach that topic, then you will know all these things.
Okay.
Right.
And with one credit card, only one account, or can we have
correct. You can see. So first thing is, you need to sign up, right? Means you will have to get an account with MS. So this is again Azure account, right? And once you have Azure account, first thing is your free subscription, and you can go for paid subscription if you want, and developer subscription also if you want, you can go for it. So these are paid versions, and you can use, whatever credit card you have used, same credit card will be used for this one, and this one. Means at the time of buying the subscription, you have to specify. So you can use same credit card or different credit cards. Totally up to you.
My question is, can we create two different Azure accounts with same credit card?
No, you cannot.
Okay. And
for example, your question is like, you have a house, you bought a house, means I bought a house. Can I buy another house? Is my question, I assume, right? That is what you're saying, right? Right? So this house is again like a subscription. Yeah, you can buy as many subscriptions as you want, you can buy. But the owner is same. When the owner is same, the credit card will be same, right?
Okay, but after 30 days, if we close the account, can we pay it?
Yeah, so after 30 days, what happens is you have to upgrade your accounts, means upgrade your subscriptions. Here so far it is free account. Automatically it will convert. Means automatically it will convert in the sense upon our consent. Means if you say convert it, only then it will convert it. Otherwise, account will, your subscription will get deactivated after 30 days.
My question is, can we close the account and create a new one after 30 days?
Yeah, if you want to do that, then you have to use a different credit card, different name, different address, different email address. Nothing should match. Whatever you have used here or here, completely different. Even the name, even the location, everything completely altogether, all identities. No identity should match. Only then you can create a new account. Otherwise, it will not let you create a new account. You have to use a different name, different everything should be different.
Okay.
You can create as many as you want to create. You can create it, but the details, whatever you have provided once, should not be reused. That caution you should take. But again, Microsoft will not let you do that, right? They're very clever.
Yeah. And sometime back you are showing the template, right? The template is which is creating two servers, two VMs.
Correct.
So
Correct.
is it something your own template, or is it a Microsoft?
No, they're Microsoft. They're called Quick Start templates. Right? Microsoft Quick Start templates. And most of the time, as a developer, as a demonstrator, what I'll do, I'll come here and check those templates here. I have 1,000 templates like that. Likewise, I can pick the template what I want. So if you want to use a key vault, you can use this. If you want to use a load balancer, you can use you can search it. If you want to implement a 2-tier architecture, you can search for it. Means whatever model you are designing, so whatever you are thinking of deploying, right? So here, assume that I want to deploy this model, right? If I want to build a backend, and again means a load balancer model I want to build. If I want to build it, yeah, definitely I can come here and look for the load balancer here. Means whatever you are thinking of building, first search it in the search it here. Right? So here you need to look for what solution you want to deploy. Right? At this moment you may not take this one. So later we have a dedicated chapter on ARM templates. So I'll be talking about these things also. But to unblock ourselves, what I did, I've created a easy approach here, just to enable you to start, kick off the model here. So you just have to follow these instructions for time being. Don't worry about these templates here, right? And later, at a later stage, we have a dedicated chapter on templates.
Okay. And you're saying we need to provide our domain controller name. So is it something we have to create separately, or what is it?
No, you are creating it here itself. The domain controller, domain name, right? This you are creating your own. You can choose anyone, and you can choose anything, but don't choose my name, because it will not let you create it. Because mine is a routable domain. Like if you select Microsoft.com, it will not let you do that, right? So anything, select something which doesn't exist. Routable in the sense, when you Google it, you should not get the domain, because you are working on the internet, right? So that's how it works. Routable domain. Don't select the routable domain here. If you have a company of your own with your own domain name, yeah, then you can do that. I have my own company called wilmatech.com. I can do that. But in your case, you cannot do that. If you have it, unless you have a domain of your own, then you can follow that. But ultimately, this should be anything. Whatever name you want to type it here, you can type it here.
Okay.
Right? So deployment is still in progress. So ultimately, we are looking for a model. This is the model we are building it actually. This is the model we are building it. So where you have Azure AD and domain controllers. 2 domain controllers are there. And once we have them, then we can connect them here with the AD Connect, and then we'll deploy this we'll achieve that our goal. Means whatever user accounts you have it here will be available. Forests, trees, domains, everything will be formed within the cloud. Most of the companies follow that approach. Right? So now it is building the resources here, and if you go to all resources here on the cloud, if you go to all resources, and this is where you will see all the deployed resources. Right? These are all the ones what template has deployed, right? So it has deployed all the disks for each machine, ADC, PDC, BDC, primary domain controller, backup domain controller, and it has put everything into one availability set. And load balancer it has created. It has created 2 VMs. It has created a public IP to enable me to log into the machine, right? So likewise, it has created a VNet, and also it has created subnet within, right? Likewise, the template is again taking care of everything, right? But I will show you how to do it independently when we start learning about networking, right? But the goal here is just to target the Azure AD, and again, what I want is this one. I want to go for this model. That is the goal here. Yeah, so the notification you can see here, right? But ultimately, since we have time there, like the moment you sign up on Azure in Azure, right, you'll be ending up with dashboard here. Means when you first time log into Azure, you'll be seeing this page inside your Azure account. So for that, you need to go to portal.azure.com. Once you sign up, it will take you to this portal already, portal.azure.com. This is our day-to-day operation, right? So log into this portal after signing up, and this will be the first page. And this is called branding ribbon, we call it as. And here you can rename this one. If you want to change this one, you can change it. And this is called global search box. And whatever you want to search within the cloud, you can search it here. Say for example, load balancers, if you want to search, it will show you here. And if you want to search for management groups, you can check it here. Or if you want to, what means it's like a search box within the cloud. And same way, you have something called Cloud Shell. So Cloud Shell is nothing but the one what we have deployed it here, right? Same thing is offered on the cloud also without having to deploy. Means it comes by default. The only thing is you need to have a storage account to run this one, and then you have a filter here. Means this is where you'll have your directories and subscriptions mapped with, and that is where you can switch between directories. Means a company can have multiple directories, right? We will also learn about multiple directories in upcoming sessions, how to set up multi-tenants, right? But ultimately, this is the place where you will switch between directories. Now I am connected to WWS directory. How do I know that? If you click it here, Azure Active Directory, and this is my Azure Active Directory, and name of that is WWS. And so again, this is again notification window, and again this is again settings. So when you sign up, you have to click it here first, right? Yeah, when you sign up, when you log in for the first time, you have to click it here and go to appearance and startups here. For your case, it will be like this, right? When you log in for the first time, it will look like this. So here you will not see these things, right? You will see like this, and you on the left hand side you will not see the resource panel. This is called resource panel. You won't see that unless you click it here, and this is called resource panel. And if you want that to be visible, what you do, go to settings here and click on appearance and make it as docked, DOCKED. Once you click it here and apply it, then you will see these options, right? That is the first thing you need to do. And then you have help here. If you are looking for some help here, this is the place you can come here. And also, if you want to give any feedback, this is the place you will give the feedback, and this is your account information. And now this is called a blade, right? So this thing is called a blade, and here you will begin your journey. Means if you want to create any resource in the cloud, you will start here, and this is where your home resides, means the home page. And dashboards will contain all the dashboards, and all services will show you all the services. Like 10,000 services are offered by Microsoft, right? So they are high level categorized, maybe 20 to 25, but inside them you have 10,000 solutions and services are offered by Microsoft. So these are the different categories like compute, networking, storage, web, and so on, right? These are all high level categories, all services. Means if you want to build a VM, you will click on compute, and here it will show you what all compute services it will offer us. Here in 27 compute based services it will offer you. Web based services 17, analytical based services. So these many. Likewise, whatever services you are looking for, you need to check that, click on that and see the option you want to create. So likewise, this is your second blade. This is called first blade, resource panel, and this is called blade, and this is again third blade. Means whatever you click on, it will open up blades. Means these are the terminology, technical terms we use it in Azure. They're called blades. So similarly, you have all services, means all resources, and in this all resources, it will show you whatever you created, whatever your company created. All those things are shown here, right? Likewise, these are all resource panel. This is again resource panel, and beauty of this is again, for example, if you want to create a resource group, you will have the same approach. Means you will get a create button here, and if you want to create a virtual network, you will get the same create button. Virtual machine, same create button. Means same steps are there. Means if you know how to create one resource in Azure, you are done. Means you know how to create all other resources as well. So that is the beauty of Azure here. But again, it is very, very complicated. It looks like very light, but it is very complicated. Again, going back to our feature here, right? So if you want to see the notification, our deployment was succeeded, and here you can see what was deployed and all that information you can see here. Ultimately, we have chosen a resource group, right, where we deployed all our resources. So resource group is nothing but a collection of resources. It's like a folder, right? And in that folder, I have all these features, right? So here I've created all of these things. Now, what we want is, if I see here, I have got VMs, right? I've got ADCs. If I go to virtual machines, this is what I deployed in Azure, right? 2 VMs I've deployed. Now I want to log into this machine, right? If I want to log into this machine, I need to know the public IP of that machine. Means this is a private IP. I want to know the public IP. Just click on that. We will also talk about public IPs and private IPs and all those things when we get to the networking side. So now what you do, you just have to pick up this IP. If you want to log into this machine, you have to use RDP for logging into this machine, and that again you know it, right? So here just say MSTSC on your local machine and type the public IP and provide the credentials what you have submitted at the time of deployment, whatever credentials you have used, right? Username, I used LAdmin, and the password demo user at 123 I used.
Narendra, where you have given this actually previously?
So this one, when you were supplying, right? This is the place I supplied. Right? And once I provide those, it will take me inside the VM now. Now I am going inside the VM. The task what we are going to do is a very high level task, not a day-to-day task, but you need to have an idea how to do this. Basically, it is not going to be happening with one individual. You'll be having multiple people working together closely. Network involvement will be there, security involvement will be there, AD team involvement will be there. Lot of teams will be involved to provide this solution, what we are doing it now. I am doing it individually, but when you go outside, you won't be doing it alone. So nothing to worry about. It comes with a plan. Proper planning will be there, and accordingly you will be building the solution. But ultimately, this is the VM we have built, and click on this Windows sign here twice. You will be getting a PowerShell here. Click on that, and here you can type net accounts. Sorry, it is net accounts, NET. Right? Type net accounts, and this will show you the role here. What role is it playing? And if you want to see Active Directory here, you can click on this Windows sign here and say Windows Administrative Tools here. This is Windows Active Directory, right? So here if I want to see, whenever you deploy a domain controller, it will deploy all these 5 to 6 tools. Active Directory, Active Directory, Active Directory, right? These are the tools it will deploy. And now we want to get into users and computers. That is where I want to see my domain name. So this is my domain name. Right? So this is where I will create all the objects. So I was talking about objects, right? What is AD? Active Directory is a collection of objects. So what do I mean by that? If I click on here, on the right hand side, you will see all the objects. These are all objects you can create within the AD. Users, OUs, groups, printers, contacts, computers, all those things are called objects. Means these object type of entities can be created within Active Directory only. You cannot create it anywhere. So for that purpose, we deployed the domain here. So this is my domain. And if you go to your properties of this, you will be taken to your domain here. This is your domain. And again, this is the operating system you have. And again, on top, if you click it here, and again, sorry. Yeah. So, advanced features here. Yeah. So here operations masters. I mean, this is again may not be required for you guys, but ultimately this is a domain running all RAD, PDC, and infrastructure master roles on this machine. And also, if you click on again the same windows, right? For example, if you go to admin tools here, you'll be having sites and services and domains and trust. If you want to see the forest, you can go to domains and trust. So this is your forest, right? Go to properties, and this will be your forest. So this one, sorry. This is going to be your forest. Your forest, again, whatever trust you have implemented will be shown here, but ultimately we have only one DC, right? So it is not showing anything. Ultimately, this is your forest, and again, you have sites also, sites and services also. I mean,
So
these things are.
Trust, what is the difference?
I'm sorry.
Forest and trust. I have seen tree. You told trees. What is the difference between forest and trust?
Okay, so if you see this one, right, when you build a domain controller for the first time, right, so here it is called wws.com, right?
Okay.
So here what happens is it will create a forest here. I mean, this entire thing look logical. I mean, this is not physical. Actually, you can't see the forest actually.
Yeah.
It is logical. So this is called forest. So now you will have ability to create one more domain controller here, and you can call it as sales.com. I mean, whatever domain name, different domain name you want to call it as, then it becomes a forest. Means if you want to establish trust between these two, and that these things will appear in the pane what I was showing you, right? And ultimately, this is a tree. If you want to build a child domain controller, child wws.com, right?
Yeah.
Grandchild child.wws.com, right? So anything common namespace is again makes it as a tree, and anything which is having two trees, more than one tree, or I mean, first thing it will, I mean, even for with one domain controller, it will create a forest actually. But ultimately, combination of trees are called forests. Combination of domains which are sharing the common namespace is called a tree. This is again traditional approach. People used to follow this approach. I mean, it is a very complex environment. They won't have these many domain controllers unless it is required. One domain controller is sufficient, right, for having all these things. So that is how it is. And now, since we have already logged into the machine, right? So this is again where you'll have all the sites showing up, right? And but ultimately, this is the place we want to just walk through here. So this is where you'll go ahead and create all the users and all the groups, right? So for example, here one single head is again a user, and double head is again a group. So this is again a guest account, again whatever user accounts you want to create. So this is the account we created, single account, LAdmin, right? This is the administrative account. And if you want to create users here, you will create new users here by selecting this, right? So I say Windows AD user, right? I'll just select this one. I call it as user one, and right, I'll type one here and say next, and type the password. Right, and user must change login at the first time login. We will leave it like that. Whenever you are creating a user account in Azure AD, this is how you select it. And there are certain policies followed by the company, but most widely used one is this one. So we will check this one in the real time. But in our case, I'll just make it as password never expires and finish it. And same way you can create another user also here. Means multiple users you can create it here. So these are all Windows users, I call it as. Right. So say next, and so you can just uncheck this box, password never expires and finish. So likewise you can create user objects. Similarly, if you want to create a group object, you can create say new and again say group here, and you say Windows AD security group Windows admins, right? So likewise you will have to type in the meaningful name, Windows AD security group Windows administrators, Linux administrators, SQL administrators. Likewise you will be following some naming conventions suggested by your company. So now these two guys want to be members of that group, right? So where is that group I've created just now? This is the group, right? And I want to make these two users members of this group. Just double click this group and add the members there. So just click on here and say type WAD and check for them, and you will be able to see them and make the members. Apply and OK. And this is how you create groups, and again users, and add them to the groups. And for these groups you will be giving the permissions, means what they can do, what they cannot do, not the individuals. Here you will target the policies, means policies in the sense all permissions you will be setting up for the groups here. So likewise, to get a feel how Windows AD looks like, this is how it looks like, and this is very complicated. I already shared you the required information, right? How to work with Windows AD, a document I shared you, how to learn Windows administration things, all basics I've already shared you links, right? And based on that, assume that you are at this level. And now what is that we want to achieve out of our lab here? So that is again our main goal, right? So here we want to achieve this model. We want to implement this AD connect. We want to connect to this one, and then we will move ahead here. So for example, what I want here is yeah. So since this is available, right? I mean, two are there actually, not one, but two are there, right? In our solution, we have two of them. So two again are not different, both are same, primary and backup. Right? Two are there. So now what I'll do, I'll on this machine, on the first machine, we are already logged in, right? So where I will download this AD Connect tool here. And for that, we have some requirements here. Means, so if you want to set up this AD Connect, so this is again Windows AD is required and Azure AD is required, right? So this already we have it, and this also we have it. Windows AD and Azure AD both are there now. So in here the first thing is you need to have a enterprise administrator. Means you have to create a user called enterprise administrator, and here you need to create a user called global administrator. These are the prerequisites. And then the third item will be download AD Connect. So you have to download AD Connect onto this machine. This is your server, right? The server you have to download, and then implement hybrid identity. So this is what happens. You are replicating all Windows objects to Azure AD. It's very straightforward, very simple also, right? The only thing is we need to meet the requirements. So first thing, I need to create an enterprise administrator. So what I'll do, I'll go back to my this thing, right? So here I'll go back to my Azure AD, where I will create a new user and I call it as enterprise administrator. Sorry. new user, right? Here I call it as EA, just to make things easier. I'll make it as EA, Enterprise Administrator, and I will supply the password as right, and password I will set it as password never expires. So user must change. Okay, I'll make it as password never expires. So this is what we need it on the Azure Windows AD, and I want to make this guy a member of enterprise administrators. Means in Windows AD side, this is the topmost privileged group. Means whoever are members of this group are powerful users, like root users, right? And then what I'll do, I'll make this guy member of this this group actually. So what I'll do, so A, I'm saying A here, add this user to enterprise admins group, and again here also A, add this global administrator to global administrators group. So these are the two additional points you need to remember. So we have created this one, now we are doing this one, right? So I'm back now. So now what I'll do, I'll just double click the user here, double click the user and make him member of. Just go to member of, add, and again say enterprise, ENT, just type ENT, and you will get the enterprise administrators group here. Just double click it, do group, just click on that and say OK, and that's it, and apply and OK. And same way what you have to do, on the other hand, this part is over, right? And I'm coming to the second part. So second part, what we can do for our convenience, what I've done here is, so you need to just run this command here. Means after, once you set up your account, like local CLI and login, everything is done, then you have to run this command here. So what we will do, right? So here, this is the command you are going to execute. Azure AD user create, and display name will be global administrator, and the password will be this, and the username will be user@wilmatech.com, right? And password change, no need to change, and the nickname is this one. Likewise, you need to create a user account in your command here. Just copy this, right? Go to your local. This is your local after setting up CLI, and execute it. So once you execute it, you will create a user account in Azure AD. So again, go back to your Azure AD. Now this is your Azure AD, where you'll be, I mean, if you want to create a user account directly from here, you can create it. Come here and create a new user account by going to users, right? So here itself you can create a new user account. Just supply the new user and just supply the parameters, right? So, and just refresh it here, and shortly you will be seeing a global administrator account gets created, provided, yeah, it is ready now. So just refresh it here, global administrator. So this is the newly created global administrator, and this is what we are talking about, the second one. And now I have to add him to the global administrators group so that he will get that privilege. So for that purpose, what I'll do, I'll click on this user, and add roles, assigned roles. Click on this assigned roles and add assignments. And this is where I will make him a super user, nothing but I'm going to make him a powerful user here. So here just look for the global administrator role here, right? So there are two items here, global administrator and group administrator. Don't confuse with these things. Just ensure that you are adding this user to this particular group, global administrators, and say add, and that's it. And now what is now? We have set this up, we already have it, we have created a user account, and we have added him to the enterprise administrators, and we have created a user global admin, and we have added him to the global admins group. Now what is next? Download, and again deploy. So here fourth step will be deploy AD. Deploy AD Connect. deploy AD Connect. And now what we have to do, we have to go to we need to go back to the domain controller here, and here we need to get the AD Connect link, right? So for that purpose, I think you can come to the labs here. Already I've already provided the steps here, so nothing to worry about here. So what you have to do, you just have to go to the labs here, right? So this is the lab we are actually working on, and if you go to this manage identity lab, I'll be sharing that lab also. In that, I've already outlined the steps required. So this is like a master lab. Everything will be in one place. So here you'll be using how to create a user account, how to list a user account, how to delete it, how to create groups, right? All those things are outlined here. And if you go to the second page, I have created implement and manage hybrid identities, high level walkthrough. And this is useful when you have on-premises DCs. Option 1 means I told you, right, hypervisor, if you want to use, you can follow these instructions. Otherwise, you can go to the second option that we are doing it now. So the second option, implementing hybrid identity using DC template from Azure. So this is what we are following in our example. Just go in that and click the link here, download AD Connect. Means from here to here we have already done, right? So we have already logged into the DC. I mean, I've already created some enterprise administrator, and I've added him to the enterprise administrators group, and I've created a couple of users already, and I've created a global administrator user already, and added him to the global admins already. And now I'm going back to the Windows AD and taking this link here, right? So here just copy this link and take the same link and download it into the, right? Yeah, so just copy this link and go back to your domain controller, right? And here, what you have to do here is, so you're already having a server manager here. So one thing what you have to do is click local server here and disable this guy, right? Internet enhanced security configuration. You need to disable it. Make it off so that your Internet Explorer will not disturb you frequently. Right? And then open the link. Say OK, and just open the link and download the AD Connect tool. Right, so this is where you will get the page, and just scroll it down and download it. And once you click on download, it will take you to the page, and again just save it somewhere in your local machine, maybe in downloads, just save it there. And after that you can just straight away execute it. But before that, do we have any pending items before execution? Just check it out. So we are done with this, we are done with this, we are done with this. So any dependencies here? No, nothing. As far as I know, nothing is. So here I need to just deploy the tool, fourth step, right? So again go back here and just run it. Right? So this will begin your installation, AD Connect installation. Means we are implementing hybrid identity, and for that purpose, so again there is a process involved here, incorrect version of TLS, they are saying that, right? So for this purpose, what we have to do is we need to run some PowerShell commands here. So those also I have taken down here. I'll just share it with you, right? So you need to follow these instructions here, right? So update the registry. So what you have to do is you need to copy this all items here, right? You just have to copy them and go back to your machine. And since you already have PowerShell open, right? And this is again ensure that you are running as administrator. Means if you open from here, it is all administrator only, right? If you click it here, it opens as administrator only, nothing to worry about. And just click the just run those commands. Once, just copy once means everything will copied in one shot. So you just have to come here and execute the commands and just enter. That's it. And once you do that, you will have to restart. You will have to restart the domain controller. Let us see if it requires. We'll restart. Otherwise, we'll go ahead. So now what I will do, I will go back to the tool here and exit the tool here, and again open back the tool, AD Connect tool. Right? Where is it again? Actually, it is there in the downloads. I will rerun it and run it and say next and say repair. Yeah, this step I should have taken it in the beginning itself. Anyways, so if it is prompting for a restart, we need to restart. But otherwise, you are good to start it here. So say agree means run this installation tool on the server where the sync service component will be installed. Means where are you running this tool? On the domain controller. So this is my domain controller, right? I'm running it on the domain controller, and it is always recommended to run it on the domain controller only, and say continue. And what is it going to do? Express settings. It is going to configure a sync engine. It is going to configure something called password hash synchronization. We'll talk about that in a moment. And initial sync will happen. Sync all attributes means whatever you have it in AD will be synced to your Azure AD. And that is the goal here, right? And say use express settings. Right? And here connect to Azure AD. So here this is where you will provide enterprise administrator @wilmarttech.com and provide the password, whatever enterprise admin password you have put it in while creating, right? So what is the password did I use here? So Yahoo @1234 I used. So I will use that same thing here, right? So here I'll use enter. And then it will now check it. It is now this machine is actually going and checking the wilmarttech.com. So global administrator. Okay, unable to validate. Why? Sorry, it is GA, right? Not EA. Global administrator, right? So global administrator. Just ensure you are typing correctly. Sorry for that. Say next. Global administrator. So you have to type the same username whatever you have created in your Azure AD. And now it has got authenticated. So now it is asking connect to ADDS means this AD. And who are you to connect to this AD? It is EA. So EA again, what is the domain name? wws.com. So fortunately or unfortunately, this domain names may not match. So now actually I'm clubbing wws.com with wilmarttech.com. So here right. So yeah, I just missed what password did I supplied it here. What I'll do, I'll reset the password. Right. I'll say Yahoo @1234. Right. So for your case, I think if you remember, then you are good. So if you don't remember, then you have to click next here. EA@wws.com. That is what the username is, right? If you see, double click the username. What is the account looks like? So your account looks like EA@wws.com. That's it. So then we are good here. So what I want, does not match, cannot be contacted using the credentials. Will you call for domain name? Okay. So here right. So you can use wws.com and the user name. You can also follow this structure if you want. You can just say, one second, domain name, okay. So wws.com / and the user name. I mean, every time they're making some of the other changes, we cannot rely on them. But ultimately, this is how you need to move ahead. Ultimately, you are specifying proper credentials at proper times. Then you see this one, and then just click on continue and say next. Means this one is ready to configure. Means Azure AD Connect tool is going to install Sync Engine on this machine. It is going to configure connectors for Azure AD and Windows AD, and it is going to use something called password as synchronization mechanism, and it will also enable auto upgrade. Means whatever download we have done it for this tool, it will also ensure that the latest version is running. So it is going to upgrade that one as well. To configure sync services on this computer. So these are the items, these are the activities it is going to perform on this AD. So say install, and we are all set. And it will take around 10-15 minutes time it will take. So meantime we'll discuss something else. So any questions so far? Sorry. So now we have done 4 steps now. So now deployment is in progress. So then what happens is, if you go back to your AD here, this is your Azure AD, right? So in this one, if you see, you will see the directory synced users will be showing up here. Means a directory synced, if it is showing, that means it is coming from the on-premises. No means it is coming from the cloud. So by seeing that, you can identify where the user is coming from. Automatically what happens, it will create a sync engine first, sync service first. So just refresh it for a couple of times. You will see a sync engine showing up here. That means it's a good sign. Right? It may take a little bit of time, but we just keep refreshing it here. But this is how we implement hybrid identity. So once you have these things are in place, then what happens is, you can think about the next thing here, authentication. How should authentication happen for the users? Right? This is okay. So you are syncing and deploying, means you are integrating your Windows AD with Azure AD. But how about user authentication? How will they get authenticated is a question. So for that purpose, we have something called AD Connect authentication methods. So that we will discuss, right? So going back to my slide here. So these are the AD authentication methods. So now we have something called password hash synchronization, pass-through authentication, federated authentication. Means whenever you are implementing hybrid identity in your environment, you have to go with one of these solutions. So by default, it has gone with this one, right? Whenever you deploy AD Connect, so this is the default one, default method. So when I say default method, what is it going to offer us, right? So that we need to understand. Password hash synchronization, pass-through authentication, and federation authentication. These are the 3 different methods used for enabling authentication for hybrid identities. Means a user is here. How will he get authenticated? Where is he actually? He is here, right? So now, should this authenticate it or should this authenticate it? So that we need to decide. So for that purpose, we are talking about the models here. So authentication model. Right? So when I say password hash synchronization, so you have Windows AD here and Azure AD here, right? And user 1 is here, and with the help of AD Connect, your user also available here. Now the user is here, means he is sitting in the home. Now once he wants to connect to cloud resource, for example, you have resources here, and this is your data center, and you have resources here, right? Now this user 1, how do you want to, who should authenticate? Should this authenticate or should this authenticate? So now what happens if you select this default method, right? Password has synchronization. What happens here is when you are setting up AD Connect, it will replicate this user details here in the form of hashes. Means username and passwords are also replicated from here to here. That means user can log in here and get authenticated, user can log in here and get authenticated. That is the beauty of password hash synchronization. Means user account credentials, user account and plus the password also replicated in the form of hashes to Azure AD. That means as an admin, I need not have to do anything. For example, if I have 10,000 users here, I can't expect my 10,000 users to reset their password when they log into the cloud, right? Because I want them to readily access all the resources in cloud. And if I want that, this is what helps me. Password hash synchronization means whenever I deploy Azure AD Connect using this method, automatically user account and their attributes are also copied to Azure AD. And that way what happens, user can get in here and he can also get authenticated here. Both the ways he can log in and access the resources. So that is the beauty of PHS. And same way, if you want to go with the other model, PTA, we call it as pass-through authentication, right? And in this pass-through authentication, you have Windows AD and you have Azure AD, right? And user 1 is there and user 1 is there, means you have implemented AD Connect already, right? Now what happens is, if you select this model, right, if you choose this model, what happens is user 1 authentication always happens here. It will not happen on the cloud because username and password is always within this environment only. Means they are not replicated. Means user account is replicated, but the password is not replicated. As a result, you are expecting user to get authenticated with Windows AD and come here to access the resources. Pass through authentication, so that you will access resources in cloud. So if you want this model, you need to choose PTA, pass-through authentication. And for this purpose, the advantage of this is, as a company, you will know which user is accessing what. Means logging is possible, monitoring is possible. If you want this method, you can, if you want these two things, logging and monitoring, then you can go for this method. PTA, pass-through authentication, means user account is always sent to Windows AD and get authenticated and send it back to the Azure so that he can access all the Azure resources. That is PTA, right? And you have one more model here, right? And this is called federation authentication, we call it as. So federation authentication is again combination of both. So PHS and PTA equals to FA. It will offer you both, plus what it will offer? Smart card authentication and local MFA, right? If you want these two features, then you need to prefer this one, right? Federation authentication is a combination of PHS and PTA, and it will also add you additional benefits like smart card authentication. Means most of the companies are using smart card for allowing their users to get inside, right? If you want that, then definitely think about federation authentication, and where it will also offer you MFA, multi-factor authentication. Means you have to use your biometrics, you have to use your RSA token, you have to use your smart card, you have to use your phone for authentication. If that is the case, you need to prefer federation authentication. So that is what it says. So ultimately, these are the three models, right? So you have the ability to choose any of these things. But again, when you go with federation authentication, only two things you will get: on-premises multi-factor authentication and smart card authentication. But otherwise, it's all same. Means whatever you have here, everything is as yes here, right? So that is what it means. Any questions here? Right, I'm going back here. So configuration is complete now. So now my AD connect setup is complete. Right? If I come back here, if you see here, you will see users coming from the on-premises. Can you see here? Enterprise administrator has come from on-premises. And same way, if you see Windows AD users also, you will see Windows AD user, Windows AD 2. This is also coming from on-premises. And also you will see a sync engine also coming from on-premises, right? Likewise, anything you see, yes, it is coming from on-premises. Now, what is the authentication model we have here in Azure AD? I mean, in AD Connect here. So, if you want to see that, you can just open the AD Connect tool here. A shortcut will be shown here, and from there you can see what authentication method we are using it. And if you want to change also, you can change it and say configure. And here you need to choose customize synchronization option and change user sign-in. These are the two areas we will set it up. So here change user sign-in. For example, click on that and say next. And here, who are you to open this? I'll say I'm the one, right? Right. So this is how I get authenticated and get inside the tool, and now I can modify the one whatever I want. See here, password has synchronization is the default one, and if you want to change it to federation or pass-through authentication, it is totally up to you. But I told you the advantage, right? Password has synchronization means passwords are also stored in the cloud, and passwords are always saved in the local domain, local DCs. And this is again combination. When you are using this one, you cannot use this. So when you are using this one as a backup, you can use password as synchronization, right? And these are again Ping Federate is again a third-party tool. If you are using in your environment, you can use this one. Most of the companies are using this Ping Federate nowadays, right? Likewise, you can come here and change the settings. And same way, you can also choose the other one, customize synchronization options. And again, same thing, you need to type in the password. So to get authenticated, to open the utility, you need to type in the password here, right? And here just say next, and again next, and see here, you can if you want something called password write back. So this is also another feature available. Means a user in the first model, password has synchronization. User has ability, right? User passwords are stored in Azure AD as well as Windows AD. And now user has logged into portal and he has reset the password. If he is resetting the password, that has to write back, and that is called write back. If you want that feature, what you can do, only the passwords, not the user accounts. If you create a user account, it will not go back here. Only the password changes will get back here. That is called write back. And if you want that write back to happen here, then you need to enable. So you need to follow some instructions separately. Means apart from this checkbox, just to check this box, it will not work, right? If you go here and just by checking this write back option, right, it will not work. You have to do some group policy settings. You have to do it here, and then the write back will work, right? Once you do that, it will be done. But ultimately, now what happens is, if you see here, right? So what is the user account name here? For example, if I want to see Windows AD user, I'll leave you in 10-15 minutes. So this will be the user account name. And now this user opening a new incognito window, and opens up portal.com. Right, and here it is coming to my account. I'll just sign out here. So now I'm using like a on-premise user. I'm logging in as an on-premise user here. So I'll use my name like this. Say next, and type the password. So whatever password you have typed it here. That's it. That means now the authentication, where is it happening? Authentication? Cloud. Because user has logged into the cloud, authentication will happen in the cloud because the user is based in the cloud here, right? His profile is there in the cloud. Means Windows AD has authenticated him to get inside the cloud. Now based on the permissions, he will have access. Now he doesn't have any permissions to access in the cloud, right? In my cloud, this is again if you see Narendra Mutyam live, right? And now he can't access anything because he doesn't have any privileges. So likewise, what I will do, the next step would be like as a Narendra, I mean root user, what I'll do, I'll come to my AD here. So here what I will do, I will create a group here, right? And I will call it as a, so here I will say security group cloud users, right? Or whatever name, whatever privilege you want to give it, Windows admins or whatever name you want to add it, you can do that. And again you can say members here, you can click on no member selected, and from here you can choose the members you want to add here. Windows AD, Windows AD users, right? We have 2 users coming from the on-premises, right? So I'm creating, select here, so not cloud users actually, these are I'll say Windows AD users. Windows AD users, I'm just mentioning it here, and say create. So I'm creating a group now. So in that group I've created on-premises users, and for that group I will give them access at a subscription level or a resource group level or whatever level I want to give permissions, I will give them. For now I'll go ahead and allow them at a subscription level, means I'm giving them access at subscription level, and this is how I do it. I'll go to access control, means subscription you need to click. Once you click on subscription, go to access control, and then what you can do, you can go to IAM here and click on add and add a role assignment, and then you can designate, you can delegate some role here. So I'll choose contributor role here. I told you, right, I'll explain you all these things when we come there, but now select contributor. And which group is it? SG Windows AD users, and say save, and all done. Now what happens again when this user, right, will not see this window when he logs in next time. Again he signs out, right? Again he signs in. So this user again signing in back, right? So here we'll type his password, right? I know you are listening, right? It's good, but still, yeah, this is how he will have access. Again, if you go to subscription, and he can do anything here. So here, like again, as usually I told you, right, first time login, he will set the appearance here. He will come here and make it docked here and say apply, and then he will see all the resources. Now he can create anything. So he can create resource groups, apps, functions, SQL DBs, virtual machines, load balancers, anything he can do it within this subscription, because he is having a specialized access. Means he is a contributor on this subscription and he can do anything. So this is how we follow the process of workflow, right? And yeah, so that is what about hybrid identity means. This is how you pick up, and from there you can, it's like a one-time investment, and once you set it up and it all goes on, that's nothing much. So now you have everything in place here. Azure AD users means automatically whenever you create a user account in Windows AD, it will get synced there. Means if I create a new user account in Windows AD, right, so I'll say Windows AD user 3. So here I'm creating a new user, newly joined user I'm creating, and this user will get synced automatically to the right? This user will get synced automatically to the cloud. Finish. And but what intervals will this sync? That is the question, right? I've created a user account here. By default, it is 30 minutes. So default, what happens is the AD sync engine will sync AD, Windows AD with Azure AD with every 30 minutes by default. But in my case, it is again, I set it some time back. I keep on changing it, right? So it will be different. So for that one, what you have to do, you need to run these commands here. And just 5 minutes, not more than that. Right? And you can just copy these commands here, right? So once you have these commands in handy, take these commands. Take these commands onto your Windows AD and open up a notepad here, right? And place them here. And now here, if you run this command, for example, if I say get scheduler, right? If I run this command, it will not work. It says I don't know you, means this module I have to install. And for installation, what I did, I just added a command here, import module AD sync, right? So you have to do that. So once you do that, then the AD sync AD get scheduler will work, right? So now what happens? 30 minutes means every 30 minutes this Windows AD will sync objects to Azure AD, and that the type is delta, means only the updated users will get synced every 30 minutes. And if you want it to happen every 10 minutes or whatever interval you want to change it, you can change it. Custom sync cycle interval. If you want to change it, you can change it. And how to change it? Also I've given you here. So here set sync cycle interval to 10 here, the last command, right? So here you need to just type in here, sorry. So 10 minutes means whatever time you want to set it to here, you can just set it here, right? And once you do this, automatically the time sync will change to 10 minutes. Are you sure you want to do that? Yes, I want to do this. Means every 10 minutes, AD will sync the delta objects, means whatever objects have changed or newly created, whatever passwords got updated, means whatever changes happen, only those changes will be replicated back to Azure AD. Means now if I get the scheduler again, it will now show 10 minutes now. Means every 10 minutes sync will happen. And now if you want it to happen immediately, you can also do that. Sync cycle delta. You can do it right now, right? So for example, if you go and check the user account in Azure AD, it may not show you. Windows AD user 3 I've created, right? That user account may not be available here yet. You can just search it here, WAD user. So only 2 users are seen here. And if you want to see the third user immediately right now, you can run this command, start AD sync cycle policy delta right now. Means only the changes, whatever changes got updated will only be replicated now. So, right? So you can run this command. So here it will be, the command will be AD sync cycle again. You just have to sync cycle. I mean, they updated the command.
In company point of view, sir. In company point of view, which synchronization time is better? Immediately or 10 minutes or?
Usually it depends on the company's policies. Usually they will set 10 minutes, right? So they may go with 10 minutes only.
Okay.
Right. So so here looks like again they change the command here, sync cycle. Okay. Let me change it. Maybe the case sensitive, I don't know. Sync cycle, AD sync cycle. Yeah, so it all depends on the company. Some companies will have 24 hours, some companies will have 8 hours, some companies will have immediate. So likewise, you need to just, again, if you're not sure what is the command, you can just type start, and you can type ADS and click tab here. Yeah, AD sync cycle here, and type policy type and delta. And then this is the command, sync cycle. Once you, what is happening? AD connect schedule is unable to start a new sync cycle because AD connect user is open. Okay, so this is open, right? So that is the reason it is not working now. So we need to close this. And we need to always check the error. What is it erroring, right? We need to read it. And now it is success. And again, what happens here? You may see that user at any time here. Just refresh it here. It will be shown here. And as you already remember, page always you need to refresh. And if it is not showing the reflection, then you need to refresh the page, entire page. It will take a couple of minutes actually. It won't be immediate, means it won't be exactly immediate, but you need to just wait and see. But ultimately, this is how you also work with AD sync cycle, commands, right? If I say Windows AD user, you will see the third user. And now this third user is again can start working on cloud, provided you should add this user to the groups, right? And if you don't want to do that manually, you can do dynamic groups. Tomorrow we will study about dynamic groups, but today I have held you back for almost 2 hours 15 minutes, and I think it's enough for the day. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will connect tomorrow. All right. Yeah.
The only thing I worry is that about the labs, because just we need some kind of tips and advice, because when you're covering 2-3 topics, so for us it is not should be like a jumbling. So how you suggest for us to?
Not jumbling actually. If you see here, what I did was, I can understand that because
yeah. Because I'm not from Windows background, something like that, admin side. So you understood enough situation. So yeah.
I agree with that. So what we have to do? So today what we have done was we have majority of it was we have implemented this approach. Means you have already got Windows AD. Means for first, in your case, what you have to do is you need to just follow these labs. So what are those labs? I will tell you. So you go to Windows this thing. So here, okay. So nothing to worry. What I will do, I'll show you here itself what you are going to do. So in your shared location, this will be the shared location. In the labs, you will have a folder here. So I'll be creating a new folder. I call it as Wilma labs, right? So I don't want to confuse you here. So I'll just create Wilma labs here. So only just do these things. So here they're all in order actually. So you just have to follow the numbers. That's it. So here, what I want is you will do this initial setup. So these are the initial things you will be following up here. So creating a free account means you will follow A and you will follow B here. A and B. That is the first thing. Right? And once you're done with A and B, then what happens is you have to follow this one. Nothing but deploying your domain controllers lab, right? Here Wilma labs. So domain controller lab is this one, 1B. So 1A I will share it you with later. Once you get some comfort level, I will share it with you again. A lab. So sorry, module 1B, how to set up domain controllers on Azure, right? So this will do it. And once you do that, then you'll be also doing the lab of AD Connect. So that lab actually is a consolidated module actually. So and that one I will call it as managed identities, 1E, right? So in this E is like a consolidated module actually. It's like a master lab, right? So you just have to follow this order: A, B, 1B, and 1E. Once you go to this 1E, you'll have to follow the instructions, whatever I have outlined here. Like just go down here and come to this option 2 section and follow these instructions. And if you have any questions, you have to refer the videos. And if you are stuck somewhere, you can ping me anytime.
Okay.
And yeah, so if you, I mean, that's it. So these are the steps we need to follow in this one. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry to ask you just I think repeated question. So for 104, no need to write 900, no?
No need.
Okay. So actually, I need to claim voucher. So we need to go to Microsoft site and we need to do all these things, no?
If you want to claim the voucher, you will have to go to your what you call here. Like which voucher are you planning to claim?
Exam voucher.
Which one? AZ900 or 104?
No, 104.
Okay, so you need to type AZ104 in Google here, simple, and just go to your docs.microsoft.com browse certification here. Right. In this page you will have exam, right? On schedule Pearson exam here.
Okay.
Right. And then I think okay, it's coming fine. So in your case again, you just have to.
Yeah, I need to register all those things. Okay, I will go through it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. This profile. I mean, when you sign up Azure, right? This profile will get created. And here, what you have to do, here you have to type in your company email. Means for logging in, you should use Microsoft account. And for
for discount, okay.
So here you need to type your company email and check the eligibility. Once you type the company email, you will get a voucher.
Okay.
And once you get the voucher, if your company is eligible, you will get the voucher. Once you get the voucher, what happens is, here itself in the same window, you need to just click on schedule exam, and at some point, I mean at the payment point, it will ask you to type in the voucher, and the discount will apply.
Oh. So I can't buy voucher and I can what you call select the date for exam, something like that, or I need to do both at the time.
No, see, vouchers are again individually bought or company provided.
No, company I'm talking.
Yeah, if your company is providing you that, if you're already having a voucher, you can just go to schedule exam.
No, I don't. I need to claim voucher. Then I want to book exam once I finish.
Okay.
Yeah, like that.
Okay, then this is the option. So you need to type in your company email address to claim the voucher. Means you will get the voucher number, code you will get.
Okay.
And once you have that code, you have to schedule the exam. At a later stage, what happens is you'll be asked to provide that code. Once you click submit the code, you'll be discounted. Means your amount will be waived off.
Okay. Sorry to ask you. So if I'm checking eligibility, if I'm eligible, then I need to stop here only. I need to go further.
You need to move forward. You need to have the email. Means that a code will work only for 15 minutes. Within 15 minutes, you need to schedule the exam.
Okay.
The moment you type in the email here, right, and click on check eligibility, you will be getting your email will be sent a code if your company is eligible, if it is partnered with Microsoft. And if it is not so, then here itself you will get a message. So you are not eligible, your company is not eligible like what, you are not eligible like what, it will give you a message here.
So it is better to book now and change what you, because tomorrow, I don't know.
No, I mean, it's totally up to you. Like whenever you are ready for the exam, so that time you can go and schedule it. Not a problem.
Okay, so that voucher is not going to stop something. I just am asking in that aspect.
So see, that voucher is valid only for, I mean, the code actually, we are talking about the code, and that code is equivalent to your voucher. And
Yeah.
that will be valid only for, I mean, once you type in the code and schedule the exam, you can schedule it at any time, right? But that
Yeah.
code will be active only for 15 minutes.
15. I understood. Yeah, my question is that if after 1 month, if I go, the code is going to available or not, something like any kind of possibilities.
It won't change. Means company policies will not change, right? So now or when next month it will be same, right? You will be sent a code. Code will be shared with you. Even after 15 minutes also, we can submit again. One more new code, you will get it.
No. My question is something different. You that suppose after a few days, the code number of vouchers may be exhausted. Something. This kind of situation is going to arise, or like that. If I claiming for
organization, what is your organization tied up with Microsoft, right? That all depends on that.
They're tied up with
Yeah, if it is a gold partner, silver partner, and again just a partner enterprise, whatever it is, based on that, employees will be given the codes. But usually, most of the people don't know this approach. They will actually pay the payment and schedule the exam. But this is a free approach, right? So just try whether your company is eligible for discounts or not, and then.
Yeah, they're eligible. They send an email to me. So my question is that whether I book now only, because if I go book after 1 month or after finish.
Tell me one thing. Do you have the code or not?
No, I don't have code. So I need to set up this one for code.
For code, you can set it up anytime. So, I mean, the organization will not change the policies, right? Even now or later. See, that all depends on the companies. Companies again may be having some settings, right? Okay, they're allowing their employees to take exams only this month. That I don't know, right? That you need to know where you are working.
Yeah.
You need to check with your organization, because that depends. Like if my company, for example, if I want to allow my employees to take exams within this month, I will set a policy in my partner account. And based on that, my employees will be able to create codes only for 1 month. Within this 1 month, they will be able to create the codes, get the codes, and schedule the exam.
Okay, let me check that way. Okay, thanks.
Right? Yeah, so that is how it is. Again, if you want to destroy the lab, what you can do, you can come here and go to all resources and just check everything here, right? Click on this name here, everything will be selected here, and just say delete. And whatever we have done will be lost in one shot. And that way your billing, your money will be saved. Or you can go to resource groups and delete the resource group what we have set up. So this is the resource group, right? Just click on that and delete the resource group, and automatically it will delete all the container, I mean objects within the resource group. And I say this is the resource group name I want to delete, and say delete. Right, so this is how you will clean up the lab. Whatever lab you have done will be cleaned up. So this will be lost in a moment. It will be gone, shutting down, right? It's gone now.
Okay, so we need to remove the resource and resource group. These two things.
Either. So the best way would be coming to resource groups and delete everything. Or
of course,
you're doing only one lab, right? At a time you'll be using only one lab. Right? I think there's no harm to delete everything from here, and you're all set. That way you will save little money. In your case it will be $200, right? And for this entire lab, whatever we have done, maybe not exceeding $1 or $2. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, as soon as you're done with the things, you're all set.
Okay.
And again,
so
you need to follow this.
Is there any backup of these steps, something like that, or any kind of, or just we need to record it at the time of doing the lab? Suppose if I'm doing some practice on Azure, on this Azure. So if I delete everything, I will lose. Okay.
Correct. So you want to restore it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we have it. If you have already backed up, like for example, this is the resource group, right? This is the resource group.
Yeah.
So when you say So resource by resource you need to back up actually. Like if it is VMs, you need to back up VM. If it is database, right? So likewise you need to have a backup plan already, and from there you can restore it. And yeah, that is how it is. You need to.
So this backup won't charge what?
Yeah, backup will be charged because you'll be using some storage.
Storage.
Yeah, so if you are using it on some storage, yeah, definitely your backups are stored in the storage account and you'll be charged for that. Right? So, I mean, nothing to worry. So what I'll do, I'll just send out an email, what is required, what is that we have learned for the day, and you need to practice what is that you need to practice. I'll just send out in a nutshell, and that way, I mean, I've already placed it here, so you will not get deviated. Means only labs pertaining to today's session will be seen today, and tomorrow's will be again seen for tomorrow's date. So likewise, you'll be seeing only that particular week's labs, not jumble moment. Everything will be in order. So you have to just follow the numbers, that's it. But here, this is the only master lab. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong in if you're following this master lab. So how to create a user account, only this yellow parts you need to change it, provided you need to set up your CLI already, and then you are all set. So how to create groups, I've showed you already, but I didn't show you how to create these things using CLI. And again, this is again some other topics we haven't talked about. We'll talk about when we come back tomorrow. And today we have learned about this hybrid implementation, right? And again, similarly, we have something called MFA also we'll discuss tomorrow, right? So this is like a master lab, and single sign-on is also there here, how to use it, right? So it's like a master lab. So likewise, you can practice, and if you have any questions, yeah, let me know.
Okay, so whatever you are doing in Azure and GUI, and we can have the equivalent PowerShell command, something like that.
Yeah,
for creating
so
user.
Microsoft actually recommends us to use CLI. Most of the time we'll be working on CLI PowerShell combination. It's not like we will be working only on one area. So wherever feasible, I'm actually trying to cover Portal as well as CLI, and Microsoft Labs are again covering PowerShell. So that way you are learning three ways. Right?
Okay, thanks, Andy.
Yeah, so with that said, so we are all done for the day, and let's connect tomorrow, but by 8 p.m. and we'll proceed with the further sessions. I mean further topics. All right. See you all tomorrow then, and bye for now.